Hello, this is Skylit Lake reading Super Science by That Chicken Dude. Chapter 1 A New Purpose. This was the end, at least that's what Izuku thought as he looked over the side of the bridge he was on. Today was the day he'd finally end it all. He has thought about this for a while, but says that there will be there'll be nothing else. He had no other avenue or backup plans. He gave it his all. Honestly, that is the one good thing he could say for himself. But no more. The words of all around him, his best friend, and even his idol, all ripped away every last shred of self-drive he had left. All it would take was one final step. But before he could do that, something grabbed his hand. He turned around and saw a man who was red in the face, breathing heavily, and standing on shaky legs. It was obvious he was in a hurry to get somewhere. In his hands was a cluster of papers, but that detail didn't matter as he heard the man speak. "Young man, wait," he said breathlessly. "Don't do it," he pleaded. Izuku ripped his hand away and snapped. "Why not? What's the point? I have no reason to go on any more. I have no purpose." "Then let me give you a new one," the man exclaimed. Izuku looked at the man. Near to the verge of tears, he asked in a soft tone, "What?" Just answer me this," he told him, while collecting the paper in his other hand. Holding them out, he asked, "Do you write these?" Izuku looked at the papers and saw that they were the remains of his old hero analysis notebook. He remembered when he was on top of a building, tearing sheet after sheet, letting them fly off into the wind. He was also reminded that it was one of the many times he tried to end it, but chickened out before finally finishing the deed on this bridge. At least then his body wouldn't be found, just forgotten, like he wanted. Why? How? Izuku stammered out. "I saw you when you were letting them fly free. It took a day, but I got them all. Then spent the rest of that time trying to find you. And I'm glad I did," he explained. Izuku said nothing as he dropped the sack, making the man quickly retrieve them. Izuku turned around and told him, "You should just forget about them. They're worthless." He said the last part with a shudder. The man looked at him incredulous and stated, "Worthless? What are you talking about? They're amazing." Izuku felt a shiver of pride run up him as the man continued his praises. "Never in my life have I ever seen a more amazing talent. Such intricacy, such detail, such passion. You have a truly unique gift, quirk or no quirk," he said with the kindest tone ever given to him. Izuku looked at him with shock and asked, "How did you—" The man then stood up on the bridge with him before sitting down and letting his legs dangle as he told him, "I kind of figured. A lot of suicides are from the quirkless. You must have been through a lot." Izuku didn't sit beside him, instead choosing to squat and hug his knees as he asked, "Why do you care? I'm just some nobody." The man looked at him again like he was crazy and ranted, "Nobody? Nobody? Young man, you have a gift for detail and analysis on a level that's even better than most valedictorians. You have something greater than any quirk in the world, a sharp mind. and being able to think is better than being able to punch, he told him while poking his head. Izuku felt his smothered emotions break free as he muttered, "All my life, I've always wanted to be a hero." "I figured," the man said softly. "But everyone told me I couldn't, that I was weak. But I didn't care if I had a quirk or if it was strong. Heck, I didn't even care about being a popular hero. I just wanted to help people with a smile on my face," he told him, pouring his guts out in thick tears before sniffling back and saying, "Like, like, like, like All Might?" the man finished, making Izuku look at him. The man gave a small chuckle and told him, "Yeah, I idolized him when I was younger." The man then leans back and looks up while telling Izuku, "You know, you and I aren't too different. I have a dream that people say is impossible, and I start to believe them." Izuku looked away, wanting to bury his head in his arms, thinking he knew where this conversation would lead. That is, until the man followed up, saying, "Until I put in my blood, sweat, and tears into my dream, and I finally made something I know will change the world." Izuku was now on his butt as he saw the man's fist tighten, and looking at him with a mix of determination and desperation. He admitted, "But I need your help. Your help." "Me?" Izuku asked, while pointing at himself. "You say you're hopeless and in the pits of despair without any other purpose in life?" the man asked Izuku while grabbing his shoulder, looking him dead in the eyes. "Then let me give you one. You may not have power, but you have brains, and that is the thing that brought us to where we are as a species." He told me seriously before pulling away and bowed to him. He begged, "So please, young man, become my assistant." Izuku was silent for a long while, which made the man worry he'd deny a jump. But Izuku did neither. He just sat and thought, and after a long thought, let one single tear run down his face as he replied, "Being a hero was a long shot. I knew it wouldn't work out, but I wanted to give it my all." He then looked at the man and stated with confidence, "I accept." Chapter 2: The Lab. After accepting his proposal, Izuku was led off and away from the bridge towards the town. Not once did anyone bat an eye towards them, even when on the edge. The man walked close beside Izuku, almost as if trying to protect him or keep an eye on him, while the two of them walked in a comfortable silence. Izuku took a close look at his features. He was older than himself, but younger than his mother, so maybe 30 or so. He was tall and thin as a twig, especially his legs. He was nearly a full torso taller, and he wasn't very short himself. His hair was messy, matted, and sandy blonde. It made his hair look tame by comparison. His eyes were an unusual pale color, making him appear blind, and thick glasses framed his patchy, freckled face. He wore a white lab coat, blue jeans, and green shoes that looked a lot like his own. On his chest was a name tag that read, "Hello, my name is Professor Egon Cristallo." After taking this all in, Izuku took a deep breath, which made the professor quiver like an animal getting ready to move, and emptied his mind, allowing himself to go into autopilot and walk with him. After a long time walking, they eventually made it to the more suburban area of town, when Izuku's mind came back from La La Land. He was in front of a modern yet large suburban home. After looking over the house, he turned to his walking companion and asked, "So, this your lab?" "It's my house, but yes." Izuku's face deflated at this response, and replied in an apologetic tone, "I'm sorry, sir, but I was expecting more?" Egon asked as Izuku turned away, trying not to show his disappointment. "I understand. Truth is, I was kicked out of my old job for being too persistent in the pursuit of something unrealistic," he said in a mocking tone with air quotes. "You're unemployed?" Izuku tried his best to not sound shocked. "Yes," he answered honestly, only to backtrack, seeing Izuku's expression and body language, looking ready to bolt. "But trust me, I have a plan. As I said, I need your help and your mind," he told him while poking his forehead. Izuku gulped and asked, "So what was this dream you were chasing?" Egon giggled like an excited schoolgirl and waved for him to follow while saying, "I'll show you." Curiosity grabbed his mind as he followed the man into his home. After unlocking the door and letting him in, he saw a quaint, yet very messy and somewhat smelly house with a cat. After being led through stacks of paperwork, old takeout, and pizza boxes, and many corkboards filled with notes, he was brought to a room that was lined with some kind of metal, and sitting in the center was something covered in a sheet. Grabbing the sheet, he looked at Izuku excitedly before ripping it off and proclaiming, "Behold!" "What exactly am I beholding?" Izuku asked while looking at a very large and very strange-looking white glowing crystal. "I call it the Singularity Soul. Life energy runs through every aspect of this crystal. Creation, evolution are at our fingertips. At least, that's my working theory." Egon told him with zeal. "Is that really what it does? What else can it do?" Izuku asked him with amazement and wonder, getting closer to it. "I have no idea. I was always busy with my work that I rarely had time to work on it. But that's where you come in," Egon admitted with a shrug, making Izuku fall to the ground from his previous statement. "I need to figure out what it can and can't do. That's where you come in," he told him while poking his chest. Izuku took a more serious demeanor and stepped back while saying, "Before I commit fully to this, I have two questions. Question 1. How are you supporting yourself without a job? My parents died some time ago and left me a fat inheritance. I haven't started to use it until a few weeks ago, but it won't last long, and at the rate I'm going, I'll probably only have enough to get by for the year at most," he admitted while rubbing the back of his head. "Sorry about your parents," Izuku told him, feeling a bit of shame at asking, only to get a wave off from Egon. "Second question. How did you come up with the theory that this thing is crystallized God?" he followed up. "Well, it has to do with my quirk," he explained, rolling up his sleeve and producing a transparent crystal from his palm. "It's called crystallized manufacturing. I can create any crystal I want to. Only problem is I've never practiced much with it, or studied the structure and chemical compounds of crystals, so I can only create one type, but that's all I need for it," he explained before breaking up the crystal and putting it against Singularity Soul and saying, "Observe." Within a few seconds, the white light that emitted from the Singularity Soul seemed to pass from it and into the clear crystal, turning it into the same soft glowing white. Egon pulled it away and placed it into Izuku's hands. Looking over the crystal with wonder and awe, he could only say, "Wow!" Now, the power in the Singularity Soul is in this crystal, holding all its properties. As such, I have named these Soul Splinters, or Splinters for short, Egon told him proudly. Suddenly, a thought crossed his mind, and Izuku asked in a worried tone, "Wait, won't it run out if you keep doing that?" "I thought the same, but I'm fairly certain it's limitless." He then turned to a closet door, and just before opening it, said, "Come and look at this." Izuku looked into the now open door and saw it was a nicely sized walk-in closet, lined with the same metallic material in the room with a singularity soul. However, lining every available space in the room was an enormous amount of splinters, like the one Egon just made. Holy wow! Izuku said in awe, while stepping into the room that was lit up from the many splinters stored inside it. Turning back to Professor, he asked, "How many are there?" 576. 576? Told you it was limitless, Egon chuckled. Izuku licked his lips, his mind racing with thoughts and decisions, until he finally made a consensus in his mind. He knew that being a hero at this point was hopeless. He had given up on that to the point of wanting to take his own life. So what other choices did he have? Nothing. But now the winds of fate have blown in a different direction. Here he was now. He smiled, looking up at the man, and asked, "When do we start?" Egon smiled, snapping his fingers, and exclaimed, "I like your enthusiasm. Tomorrow, here at my place, after you're out of school." At that moment, Egon saw Izuku's face turn from elation to doubt, and finally hopelessness. "What's wrong?" he asked him. "I just remembered. I have schoolwork and tests to do." Izuku grumbled, knowing that school, even with time management, would eat up most of it. Egon thought, looked at the boy's uniform, then asked, "You go to Aldera High, right?" Izuku nods, and he waves a hand while saying, "Wait right here." Izuku does as he says, and only has to wait for a few minutes before Egon comes back with a plastic bin and plops it right at his feet, saying, "Okay, here you go, use this to help with time restraints." Izuku opened the tub and saw it was filled to the brim with papers. He took the first one on the top and instantly recognized it. "Wait, I know this test. We took it today," he exclaimed before realizing, "Wait, is this?" Egon nods and tells him, "Yep, I used to attend Aldera. And before you say anything, of course it'll work. They never change the curriculum. Ever." "Isn't this, cheating?" Izuku asked nervously while fidgeting with himself. Egon shrugged and offered, "Maybe, but it's not like they ever gave you a chance, did they?" Izuku grips the paper hard and looks away with a deep scowl forming. "So you used to coast through everything to get a passing grade so you can spend more time working on the Singularity project with me," he told him with a smile. Izuku's lips quiver. Before he could stop bawling, he bows deeply and yells, "Thank you so much." Egon, waving it off, pulls him up to tell him, "Don't worry, and don't mention it. Now get home and rest up. You've got a busy day ahead of you." Thank you for listening to this podfic. Sorry if it's a bit choppy at times. This is my first time working with audio and visual software, so it's like choppy at times. Also, hope you enjoyed the background gameplay. I know I'm not very good. Hopefully, hopefully most of you weren't watching it or were watching it. I'm not sure. Thank you. Bye.